He wasn't a madman. He wasn't a nameless drifter. He was someone who had once stood at the top, who had seen what others couldn't. The Beggar and the Secret of Exclusivity. New York, the city that never sleeps, where bustling streets echoed with the blare of car horns and hurried footsteps. In a small corner of that urban sprawl, an old burger joint sat tucked away amidst dazzling restaurants with LED lights and flashy signs. Tom's place had stood for 20 years, once a familiar haunt for locals with its fragrant, piping hot burgers. But now, it was a mere shadow of its former self. Massive burger chains sprouted like mushrooms, armed with powerful brands, aggressive advertising, and irresistible promotions that lured customers away. Tom's little shop was slowly forgotten, sinking into solitude amid the modern tide. One late afternoon, as a fiery sunset painted the skyscrapers red, Tom sat behind the counter, his trembling hands tallying the books. The numbers of loss stared back like daggers piercing his pride. He grimaced, sighed, his eyes clouded with fatigue and despair. Suddenly, a figure appeared at the door, silent as a ghost stepping out of the past. The beggar, clad in a tattered coat that clung to his gaunt frame, stood there, but his eyes, those eyes, were sharp as knives, as if they could slice through the world's secrets. He didn't greet, didn't ask permission. He pulled over an old creaking wooden chair, sat down right in front of the counter, his gaze sweeping the burger joint like a strategist surveying a battlefield. Then he sighed, a heavy sound that seemed to carry an entire story.
"You've got nothing special."
Tom looked up, frowning, irritation plain on his face.
"What?"
"Your burgers are good, but good isn't enough."
The few remaining patrons, regulars scattered around, began to take notice. Some snickered, their laughter breaking the quiet of the small shop. "Here comes the beggar to teach Tom how to sell burgers," one whispered, dripping with mockery. "He shows up every time there's drama. But what's he got to do with selling burgers?" The beggar ignored the murmurs. From his ragged coat, he pulled out a crumpled piece of paper, placing it on the counter in front of Tom with a calm, confident motion.
"Have you registered a trademark for this burger joint?"
Tom scowled, the pride of a seasoned tradesman flaring up.
"Registered? I just sell burgers. I don't need that hassle."
"Then you're about to lose this place entirely."
This time, the room went still. A spoon clattered onto a table, the sound sharp in the stifling air. The beggar raised an eyebrow, his piercing gaze like an arrow striking Tom's mind.
"Did you know that if someone else registers this burger joint's name tomorrow legally, it won't be yours anymore?"
Tom gave a scoffing laugh, but it couldn't hide the unease creeping in.
"Who do that?"
"They're already doing it."
He slid the paper toward Tom. On it was a photocopy of a trademark application filed 3 weeks ago. The name Tom's Burger stood out starkly, but the applicant wasn't Tom. Cold sweat trickled down his spine, his hand clutching the paper starting to tremble.
Who did this?"
"A big restaurant chain. They're expanding their burger empire. They scout out popular unregistered burger joints, snag the names, and make them theirs."
The air in the shop grew heavy, as if the world had just crumbled before Tom's eyes. The ones who'd mocked the beggar fell silent, their gazes shifting from ridicule to astonishment. Tom gripped the paper tightly, his voice shaking as if on the verge of breaking.
"Is there any way to fix this?"
The beggar gave a faint smile, a mysterious flicker crossing his weathered face.
Of course. But you have to do it my way.
3 days later, a new sign appeared above the burger joint, glowing brightly under the streetlights. It was no longer just Tom's Burger. Now it read Original Beef Burger, secret recipe since 1984. And it wasn't just a new sign. An urgent trademark application had been filed with the United States Patent and Trademark Office, USPTO, guided step by step by the beggar's detailed instructions. He stood outside the shop, looking at Tom with a slight smile, his eyes glinting with satisfaction.
Now, your place isn't just another burger joint. It's an exclusive brand.
Tom frowned, still harboring some doubt.
But anyone can sell burgers, right?
Sure, but they can't use this brand name anymore.
Suddenly, it clicked for Tom. Protecting a burger joint wasn't just about holding onto the kitchen, a few tables, or the aroma of grilled meat. It was about safeguarding the name, the value it represented. 3 weeks later, a letter arrived in Tom's hands, sent from a major restaurant chain. Its contents left him reeling. They offered to buy the Original Beef Burger, secret recipe since 1984 brand, for $85,000. From a struggling little burger joint on the brink of ruin, Tom now held an asset he'd never dared dream of. Only then did he realize the beggar wasn't ordinary. He understood the law deeply, grasped how markets worked, and knew exactly how intellectual property could be wielded as a weapon. He wasn't a madman, not a nameless drifter. He was someone who'd once stood at the pinnacle, who'd seen what others couldn't. Perhaps a brilliant intellectual property lawyer, once armed with a license and a patent attorney badge. But instead of sitting in plush offices, he chose to roam the streets. Why? No one knew. What was certain, though, was that he always appeared at the right moment, when businessmen like Tom needed him most. That night, as Tom cleaned up the shop, he found a note tucked under the table. Scribbled in bold, forceful strokes, it read like a manifesto. People don't buy burgers. They buy the brand behind the burger. The lessons from this story are razor-sharp truths. First, if you don't own your brand, someone else will take it one day. Don't assume your name is yours forever if it's not protected. Second, the greatest value isn't in the product, but in the brand. An ordinary burger joint isn't worth much, but an exclusive brand can be worth tens of thousands. Third, the law isn't for the weak. It's a tool for those who know how to use it. And in business, it's not just about who does better, but who gets ahead first. The beggar vanished again, blending into the New York crowds. Those who'd once ridiculed him now stood mute, awestruck by the genius hidden beneath his ragged coat. He wasn't a madman, not a nameless drifter. He was someone who'd once stood at the top, who'd seen what others couldn't. And now, he wandered, waiting for other entrepreneurs, those who'd need him before it was too late.